If this episode makes you think, please let us know in the comments and support us by subscribing and leaving a review. Thank you. Today we are exploring AI education in Punjab. The plan is intended to reach more than 25,000 government schools, nearly 31.5 lakh students, which is about 3.15 million children, and every year group from class 1 to class 12. The source is an article published by the Indian Express on the 26th of July 2026, titled Teaching the Future: Why Punjab is Putting AI into Every Classroom. It's written by Harjot Singh Bains, Punjab's Cabinet Minister for School Education, so we should understand it as a minister setting out the government's case for its own policy, rather than an independent evaluation of results. According to Harjot Singh Bains, Punjab has become the first state in India to make artificial intelligence a core subject for every child in every government school affiliated with the Punjab School Education Board. That distinction matters. AI isn't being presented as an after-school club, a vocational elective, or an opportunity reserved for students in well-equipped urban schools. The stated intention is universal access, from a border village in Fazilka to a hill village in Pathankot and a classroom in Mohali. If you're following the debate around AI education, Punjab is now a particularly significant case to watch, because the scale of this commitment moves the discussion from isolated experiments to public education policy. The article begins with a familiar problem. Harjot Singh Bains describes visiting schools where computer education still focused on Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint and Paint, using a syllabus that had barely changed in a decade. That doesn't mean those basic digital skills have no value. They do. But it reveals the lag that can develop between what a curriculum says technology is and what students encounter outside school. The piece also cites an International Monetary Fund warning that nearly 40% of jobs worldwide may be affected by AI. Affected is the word to hold on to there. It doesn't mean 40% of jobs will disappear. It could mean tasks within those jobs are automated, redesigned, or supported differently. That's a more complicated picture than the usual headlines suggest, and schools need to resist turning labour market uncertainty into fear. The article points to China introducing mandatory AI education from 2025 and to South Korea exposing primary-age children to advanced technology concepts. Comparisons like these can create urgency, but they can also create a race in which curriculum decisions become driven by anxiety. Every school system has its own culture, resources, regulation, and educational aims. Copying another country's program rarely survives contact with local reality. Punjab's more interesting decision is the sequence. According to the article, the AI curriculum follows 4 years of investment in the wider government school system. When the current government took office, Punjab reportedly ranked 27th among Indian states in a 2020 national assessment. The article says Punjab now ranks first in the country, according to the Niti Aayog School Education Quality Report. The government also allocated 2,500 crore to school infrastructure and says it has achieved 100% Wi-Fi connectivity across government schools. Harjot Singh Bains reports that nearly 8,000 schools had lacked boundary walls when the initial assessment was conducted. That detail may appear unrelated to artificial intelligence, but I think it tells us something essential about implementation. You can't build a credible AI strategy on top of neglected buildings, unreliable connectivity, and staff who are already carrying an impossible workload. A school leader might be tempted to begin with licenses for ChatGPT, Claude, or another platform because a demonstration looks impressive. Yet the less glamorous questions usually decide whether the project lasts. Is the network reliable during a full teaching day? Do students have suitable devices? Is there technical support when 30 logins fail at once? Has time been created for teachers to learn? What happens when the textbook arrives but the timetable has nowhere to put the subject? That's why the Punjab approach deserves attention beyond the headline. The policy is attempting to anchor AI adoption in infrastructure and system reform. It's evolution, not revolution, even if the public language around it is understandably ambitious. The proposed curriculum progression is also worth examining. From Class 1 to Class 5, children are expected to learn responsible AI use and develop confidence as digital citizens. From Class 6, they'll begin building with AI. By Classes 8 and 9, the aim is for students to create AI modules that respond to local problems, perhaps an application for a village panchayat, which is a local governing body, or a tool supporting a family business. By Classes 11 and 12, students are expected to produce industry-standard projects. The article says this work will be supported through partnerships with technology companies, including Google, Amazon, Canva, and Intel. Partnerships can provide expertise, platforms, and training that public systems may struggle to develop quickly on their own. Schools will still need clarity about data privacy, commercial influence, and what happens if a particular platform changes its pricing or terms. The educational objective must remain stable even when the tools change. I found the local project examples much more compelling than the phrase industry standard. A Year 8 student building something connected to a family business has access to context that a generic AI system doesn't possess. The student knows the language customers use, the practical constraints, the seasonal pressures, and the relationships involved. The machine may help with coding, translation, or organizing information, but the student has to decide what problem is worth solving. That is where teaching AI in schools becomes more than tool training. The real value is not in what the machine produces, but in how the student responds. Does the student notice that the suggested solution assumes constant internet access? Can they explain why an AI-generated translation sounds unnatural to an older family member? Do they change the design after speaking with the people expected to use it? Take a hypothetical Class 8 geography project. Students are investigating water use in their local area. AI could help them classify survey responses, produce draft visualizations, or compare possible explanations. But the students would still need to gather trustworthy local evidence, question missing data, and explain why one recommendation might be technically efficient, yet socially unrealistic. That's teaching students not to outsmart machines, but to outthink them. Punjab says more than 90% of the curriculum will be practical and hands-on. That's encouraging, although practical work needs a careful definition. Clicking through a guided tutorial is technically hands-on, but it may involve very little thought. A worthwhile practical curriculum asks students to make decisions, test assumptions, encounter failure, and improve their work. Productive struggle matters. If AI removes every difficulty, it may also remove part of the learning. The staffing numbers show the scale of the challenge. According to the article, more than 12,000 computer faculty members are being trained as AI teachers. While nearly 2 lakh teachers across other subjects, around 200,000 people will receive training in phases. AI textbooks were expected to reach every school within 15 days of the announcement. Training 12,000 specialist teachers is substantial. Preparing close to 200,000 other educators is a different kind of task altogether. A short course can create awareness. It can't, by itself, build professional confidence or classroom judgment. Teachers need opportunities to try something small, examine student work, discuss what failed, and adapt it to their subject. If you'd like more practical analysis of AI in education, including curriculum, assessment, and school strategy, follow or subscribe to the podcast. Consider a mathematics teacher who's confident in their subject but uncertain about AI. They don't necessarily need a long explanation of how a large language model is built. A large language model is the type of AI behind many conversational tools, trained to predict plausible language from patterns in huge collections of text. What that teacher needs on Monday morning is a safe, bounded task. Perhaps students compare 2 AI-generated explanations of simultaneous equations, identify where each explanation becomes unclear, and rewrite one for a younger learner. That's AI literacy K-12 in a meaningful sense. It isn't memorizing the menus of a current product. It's learning to question outputs, communicate precisely, notice limitations, and retain responsibility for decisions. Tool features will change, those habits will travel. This is also why teachers who hesitate shouldn't automatically be labelled resistant. They may be asking sensible questions about workload, reliability, and the quality of learning. Give them time, agency, and peer support, and they can become some of the strongest drivers of responsible adoption. A department head planning professional development could ask each teacher to bring one existing lesson that works well, then explore where AI might remove an administrative burden or create greater cognitive stretch. Start with strengths. Don't discard good teaching because a new policy has arrived. Assessment may be the part of Punjab's announcement with the greatest long-term influence. The article says AI will become part of every student's academic record and board certification. Once something is certified, it shapes what schools teach, what families value, and what students practice. So, what exactly will certification recognize? If it rewards polished final products, students with more support, stronger English, or better access to premium tools may gain an unfair advantage. If it assesses process and live understanding as well, the picture becomes richer. A student might submit the finished product, document how AI was used, and then demonstrate the work through a short presentation or questioning session. Can they explain a design choice? Can they identify an inaccurate output? Can they improve the project when a teacher changes one condition? That's the product, process, and performance model. The product shows what was made. The process reveals how the student worked, including their interaction with AI. The performance gives the student a chance to demonstrate understanding in real time. It protects human judgment without pretending that AI can simply be removed from learning. There's an equity promise running through the article too. The policy aims to provide the same foundation to children regardless of whether they attend school, in Fazilka, Pathankot or Mohali. This is one of the strongest arguments for AI in government schools. If implementation is properly funded, access to explanation, translation, feedback, and creative tools doesn't have to depend entirely on family income. But equal provision doesn't automatically produce equal benefit. One school may have strong leadership, experienced computer faculty, and stable electricity. Another may technically have Wi-Fi, but struggle with device access or maintenance. Accessibility must be a foundation rather than an afterthought. That includes multilingual learners, students with disabilities, and the often invisible middle 80%, who may not qualify for intensive intervention or advanced programs, but still need well-timed support. The phrase AI Curriculum India will increasingly refer to many different models. Some will focus on coding, others will emphasize responsible use, computational thinking, or workplace preparation. Punjab's model appears to combine digital citizenship, practical creation, and project work across 12 school years. The real test will be whether that progression is coherent. Does Class 7 genuinely build on Class 6? Are projects becoming more intellectually demanding or merely more visually impressive? Can students transfer what they learn from one tool to another? Leaders will also need evidence beyond participation numbers. Counting trained teachers, distributed textbooks, and connected schools is necessary, but those are measures of activity. They don't tell us whether students are thinking more deeply or whether teacher workload has improved. Useful evaluation would look at student explanations, the quality of local projects, differences between regions, teacher confidence over time, and whether the program is reaching students equitably. Harjot Singh Bains describes Punjab's wider education reforms as Sikhiya Kranti, and the next phase as AI Kranti. Chief Minister Bhagwant Singh Mann's government clearly wants this policy to sit within a larger story of renewal. The article cites 882 government school students qualifying for the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, or NEET, in 2026, almost twice the number reported 2 years earlier. It also highlights Aryan Gupta from Ludhiana securing All India Rank 1 in NEET UG 2026. Those outcomes provide political momentum, but the AI program will require its own evaluation. We won't know its impact from the announcement. We'll know more when teachers have taught the curriculum across several terms, when students can explain what they've built, and when schools can show that practical AI education has strengthened rather than displaced mathematics, science, language, arts, and human relationships. That last point matters. Artificial intelligence can help students hold complexity. It can support drafts, simulations, translation, and feedback. Machines can compute. They cannot wonder. They cannot care. A strong curriculum should therefore protect the moments in which students choose the problem, listen to their community, challenge an answer, and imagine something the software wasn't expecting. The AI Education Punjab initiative is bold because of its reach, but its deeper significance lies in the attempt to treat AI literacy as a public entitlement rather than a private advantage. Whether it succeeds will depend less on the speed of the announcement and more on the quality of the teaching that follows. Give every child access to AI, but assess the judgment, care, and imagination they bring to it. That's all for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks.